And now, after years of planning, sweating, and going broke, here is the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
I left the media.
Why they would give this man a podcast is anyone's guess.
Then there is what could only be a bizarre coincidence or something else.
Welcome to the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Country music and fine moonshine. Finally, a podcast that lets it all hang out.
Let's level with America.
Got your boots? Ready for some whiskey?
These boots are made for walking.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
And now, the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Hey everyone, Jim here, Boots and Whiskey Podcast. Welcome back to another episode. We have Ashley Ann on the program today. And, you know, this conversation is one of three that we've put up this week. We have Dave Fenley, Ashley Ann, and Nicole Croto on the show. All three triple threat conversations. And oddly enough, Ashley Ann and Nicole Croto are friends in real life. And honestly, I didn't know that before I kind of like put it all together and all that stuff. But this is a conversation I did not expect to go the way it did. And I mean that with all of the good. I can attest to you for that. There's parts of this conversation where I was like, shit, I've gone too far, whatever, but I don't think so, because we talked at great length for some really deep shit, and I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful for it. You may know Ashley. She's opened up for Max McNown. She's done all kinds of cool shit. She's got awesome music out. Go check it out. If it's not your first time here, we do a little things a little rough, a little, rough around the edges, but it works. You're going to see and hear a conversation that I would hope you would have with your friends and your family and your loved ones. We make this totally real here, and we want the person that we're talking to come out, right? Not the artist, not the glitz, the glamour, the PR prepped, the interview prepped person. We want an actual conversation, and this is what we got here. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Ashley Ann, here you are. Cheers. We're not very what's the word I want? We
not
don't
too serious.
Correct. Yeah. like I love this industry to death, but like you guys are human,
Yeah.
And I like to focus on that part of it.
Yeah. I love that.
So for us, like all my social media as we're talking was deleted. Like 5 years of hard work gone.
Gosh.
Yeah. So I'm a little salty about it. Like a lot.
How does that happen?
I clicked on something. I got an email that about some sort of business something. Clicked on it, thought it was legit. It was not.
Oh, that stinks.
Yeah. So it's been a rough 24 hours or so, but
gosh.
You know what? Here we are.
Here we are.
We're trying to get through it, So what was I saying? I don't even know. So yeah, so just with the computer issues, my laptop issues, like why not? Why not just add on to it?
Yeah. So might as well.
Yeah, right. So like I was saying, like this show is about you, like to get to know you as a person. Like we'll talk about the music and all that. But like to get to know you and where you come from and your background and why you're here, how you're here, that's kind of like what we're striving for.
Yeah.
So where are you from? How did you get into all this?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Virginia Beach, Virginia. I was born and raised there up until the time I was 18 and moved to Nashville. So I think the beach aspect is definitely prominent in the brand and everything, just because it's where I come from and who I am at my core. I think when I moved to Nashville, I felt like maybe I had to kind of morph into this, Nashville country Carrie Underwood thing, but I think I pretty quickly realized like I being, from the beach, I think makes me different. I think it offers something unique to the table, that doesn't really exist in country music, at least, not in the female aspect.
Yeah.
So I've definitely kind of taken it and run, but it definitely feels the most authentic to me, and it's just been fun to really like tap into that side of things and kind of merge the two, beach and Nashville, like the two lives I feel like I've lived. So it's been really fun.
Now, how, for you, right? And having that beach theme and going to Nashville, do you feel like a fish out of water? No pun intended. And
No,
I just thought about how that sounded. I was like, oh, that was
no,
stupid.
I love it. I think at first I did. I think now that I've like embraced it, and I think that comes a lot with like assurance and affirmation from, people in the industry, artists, songwriters. I think a lot of people love what I'm doing, and I think that's made me more confident in doing it. So I think at first I definitely felt intimidated and, oh, I got to fit in. And oh, I think I did feel definitely like a fish out of water. But now I think I feel settled into what I'm doing and more confident than ever. And I think that as long as the music is where I want it to be, the rest will fall into place. So I just really try to focus on putting out music that I'm really passionate about. And I think everything else just kind of follows.
So was country music something you grew up with, or was it just something that kind of seeped its way in?
So country music was totally what I grew up. Like I only ever listened to country music. That is just what me and my friend group. I mean, I remember the amphitheater in my hometown. It's called the Veterans Home Amphitheater. And I remember every summer, like every May when school was getting out, everybody would go and buy all of their tickets to all of the concerts that summer. And I would always be like, why isn't Hannah Montana here? Why isn't Demi Lovato here? Like, why isn't Selena Gomez here? All of my like Disney Channel idols. And it was always like Luke Bryan, Rascal Flatts, Kenny Chesney. And when I was little, I was like, where are all the pop girlies at? But now that, once I got into middle school and high school, it was just the thing, and it was so fun. Being from a beach town, I mean, you're on a boat, and that's the kind of music that you're turning on the speakers, nothing else. So I definitely grew up in my social circle surrounded by country music. And then also my grandfather, he lived in Nashville in his 20s and would go to the Grand Ole Opry to see Minnie Pearl. And that was like the thing. And he's obsessed with everything country music. He called me Dolly. He still calls me Dolly. I've got it tattooed on my arm because that's my nickname from him. And we just share. I mean, I'd be driving, he'd be driving me around my hometown, and he'd have Willie's Roadhouse on. And we'll sing, June and Johnny songs together. And I think that that's where my love for storytelling comes from, is that old country western music and Tammy Wynette and Patsy Cline, Loretta Lynn. And I think that that's definitely where like the lyric side of me comes from. But I think that being from a beach town and, exploring so many other types of music as I've grown, I mean, I really didn't start super diving into pop music until probably like in the last 2 years. And I think that I found this new wave of inspiration, and I think that that has definitely kind of seeped into my music. And then growing up at a beach town, Mamma Mia soundtrack was the soundtrack to our lives. So ABBA
Really?
and all the color there. Oh, for sure. Me and my girlfriends, like we'd run around, we'd pretend we were Donna and the Dynamos, like it's my sister's and I's favorite movie of all time. So just like that carefree, free spirited, all that color is just, I think I try to infiltrate that into my music now. So I think it's a mix of a lot of things for sure, but I think it's cool and different. So I'm just going to keep doing it. Hope it works.
No, I mean, it's funny you say that, because it's like, I think, when I think country music, it's, I love the way you talk about the originals, like the original females in this industry, because I think, I don't think you're alone, where a lot of the female artists pull from all those people you talked about, right? Like, yeah, you get the Mirandas and you get the Gretchens and the Laneys and all that, right? But, this industry, was really built on the backs of those women, I think, right? And to hear and see that influence in you gives somebody like me that loves this industry like a lot of hope.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I think country music is the lines are so blurry now as
Yeah.
far as what is or isn't country music. And I think what it kind of dumbs down to is like, as I've dipped my toes into other genres, just as a listener, as a consumer, I feel like I've noticed that country music, the one constant is like the morals and values
Yeah.
and
Oh, absolutely.
beliefs
Yep.
behind the music. And I think that that's why I chose Nashville. It's why like that was the instinct, that was always the plan. There was never even a thought in my head of going anywhere else. Like that was just where you wanted to go if you wanted to do
Yeah.
music. So I feel like that is where I feel aligned and so, heart in this genre and passion for this genre and the storytelling side of things too. I don't think I would have nearly the amount of love I have for stories and real life experiences in song and all of those things if it weren't for country music. So I feel like no matter what sonically you sound like, it's all where it's coming from. It's where the inspiration is coming from. It's where what are you talking about? What are you saying in these songs? I think that is, depicts whether something is country music or not. But
Yeah.
I know some people are controversial about, oh, this is or isn't country, but I'm just like, whatever. If it sounds good, it sounds good.
Right. And I'm guilty of that myself, where it's like, there's artists out there that fall under the umbrella and I'm like, I don't know about this, right? But like,
Yeah.
I grew up, you know, I got out of high school in 2005, right? So my big musical influences were like early 2000s, late 90s, that whole thing, right? And we've had some artists on here that were in that pop punk world, like of the bands that I listened to growing up. And like we talk
Mm-hmm.
about it all the time where, punk music, even, to kind of go under what we're talking about, like even punk music to an extent is country music because of the way it writes the songs, right?
Yeah.
The way it tells the story, even if it doesn't tell it from beginning to end, it tells enough of a story, right? It's not like the other genres where it's like you may get bits and pieces of a story, but you're not getting the whole story, right?
Yeah. So
Like,
true.
and like I see that a lot in pop music, Taylor Swift aside, like there's not much, I don't think, right? And maybe it's just because I'm old, but there's not much to it. There's not much to
Yeah.
it.
I love how you said Taylor Swift aside.
Well,
Loved how you excused her because she is
because
very detailed.
she is, right? And
Yeah.
like she's detailed in everything she does. I wish Taylor would come back to, country music as it is.
Yeah.
But you know, all these other male, female artists, whatever, like there's no substance to it, I don't think. Right. I could be wrong. I'm just a podcast guy, but like, I don't hear a Demi Lovato song and be like, wow, I am moved to tears. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I'm moved to tears because the music sucks. But like,
Yeah.
other than
I
that,
know
like,
I could definitely agree with that statement. I think that Taylor, it's, there's coincidence or not, like she started in country music. That's
right.
where she learned how to write songs was country music. And I think that has continued to pour into her songwriting now. It's like when you are learning how to write songs and you're kind of building your relationship with songwriting and what you want that to look like for you. I think where and what genre you're coming up in is so crucial to how you're going to carry that for the rest of your life. And I think that I'm so thankful that I started in country music and, hopefully that lasts forever. And I love it here. And it's like where my heart is, as long as everyone will have me, but I do definitely think that makes a huge impact on who you are as a songwriter in the end game, I think.
Holy shit. I've been doing this 5 years now, right? Like, this is our 5th year. And I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that the way you just said that, where the way you write songs is based on whatever genre you're absolutely right.
Yeah. It's
Like,
so different in
it
LA
is.
and New York. I mean, it's so different.
Now, when, you were talking about, the beach aspect of it, and I think some of the best country songs are rooted in that.
Yeah.
Right? like whether it's, being by the ocean or being by the lake or whatever, like water in general, right?
Yeah.
Now, why do you think that is? Like from your seat?
Have dissected this for the last few years because I think when I realized like, the beach is who I am, that's something that I really just it shows up, when I walk into a room, I feel like I wear it on my face. It's the same way people feel about growing up in the country. It's genuinely a way of life and it makes you who you are. And for the longest time, I was like, trying to like wrap my head around, okay, why does a Kenny Chesney song make me feel this way? And why is it the first thing I want to turn on when I get on a boat? But maybe getting on a boat, maybe the first thing I don't want to turn on is like a super country female. And
There.
that might just be me, and by no means am I trying to be anti-female because it's obviously not who I am, but I really did try to figure out like why do I want to turn on Kenny Chesney and Toby Keith and Zach Brown band? And I think I really, thought about it for a long time, and I realized that that side of country music, that beachier side, I mean, especially you see it in Zach Brown band and Kenny Chesney, I love. Like these are like just my heroes growing up that we're talking about. And you listen to their music and it's like, yeah, they have their hits and they have their toes in the water, ass in the sand and stuff like that. But then you also listen to their deep cuts and they are such songwriters, like
Yeah.
such deep, intellectual, wise, lived through experience songwriters. And I think I was like, hang on, like it's not all about the, just easy to digest. That definitely has to exist, but there's definitely this side that is like what you just said. It's like the stuff that brings you to tears, the stuff that makes you feel heavy emotions. And I think that once I really started tapping into that was when I really started to see the fans show up. It's like I have lived through a lot of experience in my life at a young age, and I think that infiltrating those experiences into my music has changed the game for me. And I think that the beachy aspect to it is just like what makes people feel good. Like I could have a song, and I like to think this about this project that I'm putting out on Friday. It's like I could have a song that is about being a product of divorce and falling in love and being terrified to fall in love because you're terrified of divorce. And sonically, you feel like you're floating, and it feels like a warm hug, and it feels like a shoulder to lean on, and it feels like you're not alone. And it's got kind of, I mean, there's birds chirping in the beginning of Love Looks Like I'm not afraid to put weird things in songs to make people feel, accepted and seen and just make them feel good. So it's like that is the kind of song that you could, listen to on a boat, but you could also listen to it in your car crying. So I think I'm definitely having fun figuring out the kind of juxtaposition of that and infiltrating that into the music, because I think that it's allowed for a really, really cool reaction from the fans and even, what I like to listen to and, you know, things that I think when you put out music and you write songs and you listen to the demo over and over again, you send the mixes back and forth to get it produced, you're tired of the song by the time it comes out. But I think this project, for the first time in my life, I can confidently say, like, I'm not tired of any of these songs. I think they are very just, they go down smooth,
Yeah.
It's like whiskey. Boots and Whiskey
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. Listen, there's a few things I want to touch upon there, right, that you said, because one, the whiskey thing, it's not as smooth as it used to be. I'll tell you that. Like we went and saw Gavin Adcock last week that we're talking, and he did a private show up here, and we got invited, and I'm still feeling that. But anyway, there's a couple of things there that I wanted to touch upon. I love that fact that you are so self-aware about, you don't hear artists talk about like, you've lived with these songs now for however long, you've heard them over and over and over again. And you're right. You do get, even I think consumers get sick of them after a while. Right.
Yeah.
So I love that you said that, but I wanted to touch on it because it's near and dear to me. Right. Are you really that afraid of love because of your parents' divorce? And I ask because my boys are going to be products of divorce, right?
Yeah.
So like, do you think as a kid that grew up with that, do you think that's a girl thing? Do you think that's a kid thing? Do you think it's interchangeable? And I ask because I'm genuinely
Yeah.
curious.
No, I mean, I definitely believe that it depends on how the parents go about it. I think that my parents' divorce was extremely messy, and it was also the starting point to a 10 years of chaos for the rest of my childhood and the rest of being in my hometown. Like, I kind of look at it as, the reason to blame for the mess that was kind of my experience. And I think that I even had a best friend growing up, and her parents were divorced, and they were so cordial and so kind to each other. They'd sit down at the dinner table for each next to each other if it was one of their kids' birthdays. Like, I think it's all about watching how the parents treat each other, and if there are like fights and, you know, stuff like that, which I know happens in divorces obviously, it's like if that could just happen not in front of the kids. I think that parents, I'm not saying you because I don't know your situation at all, but
Trust me,
I think that parents get a little bit like, oh, they're kids, they don't know what we're talking about, or they won't remember this. And it's like, we really, really do remember it. We are so impacted at that young age by what our parents, how they speak to each other, how adults speak to each other, and how they speak to us about other adults and about other people. That really does impact, the person that you become, and you carry that with you. And I thought that I had just kind of gotten rid of all of it once I had moved away, but then I kind of realized it was creeping up on me a little bit, and there was a lot that I was experiencing in a new relationship, just a lot of fear and doubt of, trust issues. Like, what if this person left me? Or, marriage and commitment, that isn't just, whoo, I'm good now. That's like, no, this is still really scary, and divorce is a thing, and this is still going to be hard. And I think it all just depends on how the parents interact with each other, interact with their kids. I think it's important to remember that even though they're children, they will remember these things, first of all, and second of all, they do understand what's going on more than you think they do. So I just think that it's important, to be mature as the adult, and to make sure that it's the same exact thing as like self-confidence, and how a mother should always talk herself up in front of her daughter. They say if a mother's going around saying, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm whatever, the daughter's going to be affected, with her self-image. And that's very true. It's the same goes for divorce. It's just like watching how your parents interact and how they go about a situation shapes you and who you are going to be as an adult, and what you fear and what you have anxiety about. So I would say, like, as it's kind of up to the parents how they handle it, and also the kid and what kind of kid they are, because I will say, like, me and my two sisters are all three extremely different people, even though we all endured the same experience, and we've all taken that in such different directions and done such different things with it. So I think it's just like knowing your kid and knowing what they need and what they want out of their parents, and what they don't want to see and what they don't want to know. And it's like, naivety is bliss sometimes in those situations. So just keeping that behind closed doors, because even when the door is closed and you guys are, screaming behind a door, it's like the kid still hears that. They may not hear what you're saying, but they hear the fighting, and that's scary. Yeah.
Damn.
So.
It's funny, and it's not funny like haha, but it's funny like interesting, where, like I said, I didn't grow up with divorced parents, right? Like, my parents are still together, and I think I'll be the first to admit, when I was going through my divorce, like, I didn't take into consideration the kids enough.
Yeah.
Right? But like, hindsight being real 2020, like, it's like, shit, I shouldn't have done or said this, that, and the other thing, right? And it's like, my youngest is 6, and when his mom and I were going through our divorce, he was like 4. He was just a little north of 4. But like, and he's like, I still live next the town over from where we all live together, right? And he'll be like, Daddy, do you remember this? Do you remember that? And it's like, I remember where we used to live. And it's like those things are heart-wrenching.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you don't think about how because you're absolutely right. You think as an adult going through this, oh, they're just kids. They're not gonna. How is this
Mm-hmm.
going to affect them because they're so little? But like, hearing it back now, almost 2 years later, it's like, oh shit, like some of the stupid things, right? You thought, arguments or whatever that you thought weren't a big deal were,
For sure.
you
Yeah,
know, and it,
absolutely. I also think it's like what you do, beyond the divorce and the connection relationship that you obtain with, the ex and with the kids, like how involved you are and how I think it's just trying to, lessen the amount of loss as much as possible, lessen the amount of stress and the amount of loss in a situation for a kid, I think. And also just like once they are, 16, 17, 18, start kind of like grasping certain things, just like checking in and making sure that they're digesting all of it properly. And, I think that leading a kid in their faith is really important too. And knowing that, they always have a friend in Jesus. And if they ever need somebody to talk to, if they ever need something to pray about, it's like, I think I think kids, especially in the teenage years, can get really lost, when they've dealt with something like their parents going through a
yeah,
divorce. Sometimes it hits you later.
yeah. Wow. Like I know it can be a sensitive subject, so I thank you for talking about it. But it's, I think it's also one of those things where people need to hear it. Like
Yeah,
we're so we live in a world and a culture where it's so like we're not going to talk about certain things, regardless of what it is.
for
And
sure.
it like it makes it worse almost.
For sure. And I think that our age, like this generation, the past generation's divorce was not as common, and it was it was something to be hidden, and so now people are just like, yeah, I got divorced, and it's so different now. And I think that the children who have experienced these like early 2000s divorces are now getting to ages where they can kind of digest what's going on and be aware about it, and be able to speak out about it, and speak about it from the kids perspective. I think that that's a really cool thing, and I'm always like willing to talk about. I have no, filter when it comes to that stuff. I just want to help everybody.
I love that you just said like how like we're so like, oh what, like almost like going through a divorce is like a rite of passage, right?
Yeah.
And like because you see it all the time, whether it's on social media or whatever, where it's like, men and women, are having like divorce parties and all this that and the other thing, and it's like to me that shit's gross, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of what the reason is that you get divorced, right? There's some really bad things, some not so bad things, but like there's a level of tact, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting you say that, because I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think it's definitely become a lot more normalized,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
right, right, right. People say to me all the time, they're like, "Will you ever get married again?" And I tell them all the time, absolutely not. Like,
Yeah.
and not because I wouldn't want to, but it's like, what and not everybody's like this, right? And I think it goes back to your being fearful of, being in love or whatever, right? Where it's like there's a level of fear, and like
For sure.
after you go through something like that, there's I think even a bigger fear.
Absolutely. Especially when there's children involved, like not wanting to put them through, anything else. But it's really hard.
Yeah. Now, is this where a lot of your songwriting like stems from?
Absolutely. I'd say over half of it is from my family experiences and childhood, and then maybe 25% of it is like my now adult life and relationships.
Yeah. Now,
It's definitely.
do your parents ever listen to some of your songs and be like, "Wow,
You
like I'm
know,
sorry," or anything like?
I think, I mean, me and my dad are kind of at this level now where like he knows how I feel about everything. I'm the, stubborn middle child. I've been very honest my whole life about how
No,
I
that
feel.
that does not come with middle child at all.
Yeah, no. So I think that, that's definitely been a hard part of it. And that's like where I have to be really vulnerable. And I think people don't think about that. I think people, audiences don't think about who we're affecting in our personal lives, who we are directly affecting by putting out this song. I don't have a relationship with my mom, but I've heard that she has heard some of these songs and has not been happy about them. And I think what I have to say to that is like, there's no demeaning what has happened to me and what has happened to any kid in this world. There's no avoiding or just pushing aside. Even if I was being super crazy and extreme, maybe that's how I felt, you know?
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
valid. And feelings within themselves are valid. And I think me and my sisters, I don't know what I'd do without my sisters. I probably wouldn't be nearly as strong as I am. But I think that having them in my corner and you travel as a pack. Like we all experience this thing together. We all saw it with our own eyes. We are not crazy. We are not, being manipulated into thinking otherwise. We have each other to remind ourselves, yeah, this happened to us and we are seen by each other. We are understood by each other and we are validated. And I think that in my music, I've tried to, not think so much about what will my parents think and what will everybody in my hometown think, and I've tried to more so think about the you know however many, millions or tens of thousands of people that feel less alone because I said it. And
Right.
I think that that is far more important than how, somebody in my inner circle is going to feel about it. And that's not because I'm heartless or ruthless. That's because I care about other people and I care about, making an impact in this world that is different. So I think that I would choose that any day over,
Yeah.
maybe upsetting somebody in the meantime. But
You know,
things happen,
I can't actually I can't tell you how much I fucking love that you just said that, because like I've gone through a lot of shit. Some of it self-inflicted, some of it not so self-inflicted. Whether other people want to take accountability or not, that's not up to me, right?
Yeah.
And like that's the point I had to get to, right? I had to spend a lot of time with myself. I had to spend a lot of time with situations where it's like, oh, I fucked this up, right? I fucked up from here to here.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, you know, at what point though, it's like you can't, from this side of it, like you can't take all of it yourself, right? Like, and
Yeah.
I tried to for a long time. I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. Everything is my fault, right? And then you get out of it and you step back and you look at it from a different light, and I'm sure from a child's point of view too, it's like you can't hold on to all of it. Like there are aspects of broken down relationships, marriages, whatever, where it's not just one person,
For sure.
right? And it's like, as a kid, like I try to tell my boys all the time, and in a way they'll understand, like none of this is your fault, right? Like, and I'm sure it's hard to wrap your head around that at 6 and 10 and 6,
Yeah.
but it's like I know as an adult, or at least I should know as an adult, where it's like, yeah, a lot of this I will take the blame for, or credit for, or accountability for, but like there's also another side of it.
Yeah.
And like, but it's weird because we also live in a world where it's like we don't want to live with that either. We don't want to live in a, like, you know what, two people had their issues and it fell apart or whatever, because we have to blame somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so true. I feel like being, aware of your own flaws, your own faults, and then just being better because of that is so important. But also, like what I said, no matter who's right or wrong factually or on paper, all that matters to me really is like how people feel. And I think that's like the therapist friend in me, but I think that it's everybody's gonna, digest and absorb something differently. We're all different humans. There's not, two clones of any of us. So I think that we all absorb information differently. We all react differently because of it. I think if like somebody's feeling a certain way and I've portrayed that feeling in a song and they feel not alone because of that song, then my job is, that's my job. That's
Yeah.
what I hope to do in this world. I think it's a lot deeper than just like putting out good music that makes people feel good. There's a lot more to it for me, but I honestly wouldn't enjoy it if it wasn't that way. So
Now, with all this, right, and the way you write your music, and like, I love the fact that you said, like, listen, like, this is what I'm doing, and if like it or don't, I don't give a shit, right? Like, I'm paraphrasing, right? Obviously, but like, how has that, because I get a lot of shit with this too, because of the way I put out my emotions, right? Whether it's on social media or whatever, and it's like, you know, the people around me will be like, well, you know what, you posted this and it hurt my feelings, or yada yada yada, or like, and like my knee jerk reaction is like, I don't give a shit, and not because I don't care about them, but it's like, it's not about you, like, I post these things, I post these song lyrics, whatever, because it's like, that's how I'm feeling and I need to get that out, right? It's not about, there's collateral damage, and that's, I guess, the name of the game. But like, if you're trying to say something that's more important, whether it's to you or to somebody else, I think that's where it's important.
For sure.
So like, my question to you would be, going through all this and making a career out of all, like, how has those thoughts and those aspects of songs you put out or things you say, like, and them affecting other people around you, like, how has that affected friendships, romantic relationships, whatever, in that realm? Like, do you feel like you have to walk on eggshells? Do you feel like you don't? Like
the releasing the music
Yeah.
part?
Yeah.
I mean, really, the only thing that I think it has affected is like my family. I really have been fortunate in the love life area. I've never really been, screwed over super bad. I always joke like I had enough heartbreak in my life. I don't need any more, but I have had two amazing boyfriends and I'm so blessed in that department. A lot of like my breakup and boyfriend-esque songs like Secret are actually just, a lot of them are about like relationships within my family and people that I don't talk to anymore, people that had this problem. And I think I pull a lot from that area of my life, and I also pull a lot from like people who are really close to me and sometimes what they've endured and like experiencing that alongside them, like Plenty of Fish being like oh, you broke up, get over him. Like that was me, carrying my friend through a really bad breakup and writing that song because of it, not because I was going through a breakup. So I think that songs come to me, from all angles. I don't think I've really screwed anybody, or pissed anybody off too much releasing any music. I think that within my family it would probably be the only place that I've ever had to really deal with that. But like I said, it's my feelings and how I'm interpreting a situation. And I think that if it will help and tens of thousands of people in the world, then that's okay with me if that one person hates my guts for it. So
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I love the grit and tenacity you have towards it all, because it's like, based on, trying to put the pieces together and read between the lines, like, it sounds like you could be way more heartless than, than you are. Not that you are, but you know what I mean, right? Like,
no, for sure. I think it's definitely just like it's constantly the example I want to be. It's constantly me thinking about my little sister who I feel like I raised, and me thinking about all these little girls in the audiences at these shows. And it's me wanting to be an example. And it's like, if I'm going to get up there and just like talk shit about somebody constantly in a song, then like, who am I to tell these girls be like me,
right.
Like my music, I want you to want to be like me. No, like I wouldn't be doing this if that were my vibe. So
Right.
I feel like you have the first part of what we talked about, and wanting to feel validated in your emotions and your feelings, and feel not alone and being honest, even if it means upsetting somebody. But then there's also the side of things that is being kind and being polite and being, careful about other people's emotions and feelings. And yeah, that's probably why, therefore, I don't slam it in people's faces like, hey, this song's about this person, and hey, this is about. I think it's like, I think I look up to Taylor Swift a lot in the sense where it's like, she's got a lot of Easter eggs in her songs. There's still a sense of mystery to her. And I think that sense of mystery is why fans are so attached to her,
Yeah,
and
I
why
think
they're
you're right.
so loyal to her, is because when they know the answer to some of these questions, they feel like they know her and they feel close to her and they feel like they could be her friend. So it's like, I want people to feel that way about me. I want people to, think, oh, did y'all know this song's about this person actually? I know you thought it was about this person, but, and for people to kind of figure those things out, because I'm dropping Easter egg hunts all the time. It's just going to maybe take a second for the, big enough audience to kind of see the Easter eggs. But I think that it's definitely, it creates for such a loyal fan base. And that's definitely my ultimate goal. It's the connection with the fans is, mostly what I care about. So I think that that's a cool take for sure.
So what you have coming out, like, how long have you been working on it?
Oh gosh. I mean, one of the tracks, Found You Broken, was written January of last year, I believe. Maybe December of the year before. So over a year and a half, maybe. I mean, the songs have been, written within that period of time, and then we started rolling out the singles in January of this year, with Happy Birthday being the first one, and then Love Looks Like, and then Paloma, and now the project comes out tonight. And yes, it's been a little over a year of writing the songs, but the whole concept and theme and, title and visuals and all of that started really coming together in the last 6 months to a year. So it's been really, really fun to kind of watch it all come to life. And I'm excited to see how everybody reacts to it and how it performs.
Yeah. Now I know, we talk about it all the time here, where it's like something comes out, you got to let it breathe and all that stuff, yada yada yada, right? But like, how eager are you ready to get to the next thing at this point?
I think this answer changes like per every release. I think for this project specifically, I do want to give it time to
Yeah.
breathe, and I'm not the kind of person who like says that and 6 months go by without music coming out. Like I think that I've put I'm kind of in a season of my life where like I've put every last bit of myself, and financially, emotionally, physically. Like I've been traveling on the road for 2 months promoting all of this music and just driving my 20-year-old car across the country. And I've had the most fun and I've been the most rewarded I've ever been in my life, but I've also experienced the most, you know, no's and the most confusion and loss. And I think that it's really contradicting, but it also makes me so passionate about the project and makes me, want to see how long it can live and how big it can grow, and just all the people that it can reach, before I, maybe prematurely put out new music. But we definitely do have a release plan that will be coming pretty soon after. So I'm not going to make people wait too long, but I definitely think that this project is worth letting live for a second, maybe
Yeah.
as opposed to some past projects and releases. I think that this one has earned its spot for sure.
Now, what are you planning on, like, now as the year goes on, about, shows and touring and, getting it out there?
The EP specifically, I mean, we've spent the last week especially just like press media, press media, press media. I'm trying to, pull all the favors out of my back pocket and trying to promote. I'm posting like 5 times a day on TikTok. I'm posting every day on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all the things. Just trying to like be heard, trying to get it out to as many people as possible. I've already seen such you know affirmation from other artists, especially about the song, and I think that that is also a reason why I'm like believing in the project so much and wanting to continue to promote it. But we definitely have, a few festivals on the books this year, and kind of just like sorting out fall right now as we're ending the spring. But I think that this project, it's mostly social media nowadays as far as promoting goes. So I'm just like working my tail off in that department. I'm on the road. I have one more weekend left of this tour with Avriana that we've been on for 2 months now, and been having so much fun, on the road with Max McNown too. We're doing a show with Zach Top at the end of May. So just gonna continue to get myself out there and, be on as many stages as I possibly can be and make it out to and post as many times as I can because it's truly what I love and I could not imagine myself doing anything else. It feels like spoiled of me to even say like this is my job, promoting
Yeah.
my music that I
Yeah.
love. It's genuinely a blessing. So I'm just trying to like see the silver lining, trust that God has a plan, even in the really, midst of an unknown, and seeing where it goes. So I'm excited for it to come out. I feel like it's definitely a milestone in my
Yeah.
career for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I like and appreciate what you've done and what you are doing and all that. And I'm very excited for what you have for us in store.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
Yeah. Now, so for the people that are listening that may not know who you are, like how can they follow you, keep in touch, all that?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm Ashley Ann Music on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, Ashley Ann, Apple Music. I'm on all streaming platforms. Following on Spotify and Instagram and TikTok is huge. And just adding, my songs to your playlists and streaming and keeping this thing afloat so the ship don't sink. But yeah, just like keeping in the loop. I'm constantly posting, so be prepared to see my face all the time.
That
Gotta
I
do
mean
what you gotta do.
that's what you got, right? Exactly. You have to do it,
Yeah.
and you do it great. So
Yeah.
keep it up, and good luck with everything. And hopefully, you'll make it up this way, and we'll be able to say hey and hang out.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, anytime, anytime. And we'll, as we rebuild our Instagram and social media that we've lost, it's,
Crazy.
well, but like, what? It's one of those things where as I was talking to somebody earlier, and it's like, it almost makes me want to work harder.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe it's a blessing. Maybe the algorithm will like your new account more.
maybe, who knows? Who knows? Well,
Who
Ash,
knows?
thank you so much for everything, and good luck, and keep in touch. And every time something comes out, we'll push it for sure.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate you so
welcome.
much.
Anytime. You too. See ya.
All right. Well, there you have it, everyone. Our conversation with Ashley Ann. Ashley, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for having such an in-depth, fucking awesome conversation. Absolutely incredible. If you have a chance to see her or go check out her music, do that. You won't be disappointed. I think you'll actually understand the music a little more after this conversation that you just watched or listened to or whatever. So Ashley, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for joining us here on the program today. For everybody else, thank you so much. Go check out our other episodes that are out. Dave Fenley is also on. Nicole Croto is also on. Like I said at the beginning, this is a triple threat week. Like if somebody put a gun to my head and was like, Jim, you have to pick which one of these episodes is your favorite out of the three, I'd be a dead man because I can't. All of these conversations are absolutely fantastic because I have fantastic people on the show. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next episode. If not, we'll see you next week, guys. Cheers.